gentlemen, either. Hope you had a nice day. All right, Chris Paul sat out Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals on Sunday due to COVID-19 health safety protocols. In his absence, Devin Booker came up huge. 40 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, triple-double to lead the Suns to victory. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard hasn't played since injuring his knee in Game 4 of the Clippers series against the Jazz. Paul George has stepped up with Kawhi out, but it wasn't enough to get a win in Game 1. Magic Johnson, which team needs its star to return more, Clips or Suns?
Definitely the Clippers, because I think that with home court advantage going to the Suns, you can win 4 games at home, right? And give up 3 games on the road. So I think the Clippers need Kawhi. And Kawhi probably wants to play and redeem himself, just like we're seeing Paul George stepping up because of what happened last season. So I would say Kawhi needs to be back more for this series than Chris Paul with the Phoenix Suns.
Couple of things. As an aside, I agree with Magic about that. I'd also like to remind the viewing audience out here that they're very, very lucky that Magic Johnson decided to just go back to being the ultra successful businessman, not running the Lakers franchise, because the basketball world wouldn't be fair, because Kawhi would have been in the Lakers uniform if this man was still there with LeBron and AD. I'm telling you what I know. He don't have to know. I'm telling you what I know. Now,
all 3 of those guys were out. All 3 of them were hurt.
3 of them. Well, let me tell you something. They said they had to limp their way to that. All right. Having said all of that, I'm going to tell you it's Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
You want me to tell you why? Because without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers ain't winning this series. Now, I give the Clippers major props. Ty Lue, exceptional job. And that environment Friday night was electrifying.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Clippers environment like that in my life. Okay, it was something special to behold. And them raining threes and that kid, man, who's right from the Bronx out of Florida State, it was special.
You can play.
Beverly hit 3 threes, and it was just crazy. It was unbelievable. Having said all of that, this is a different level, because whereas you had Donovan Mitchell and basically nobody else athletically, particularly with Conley hurt, that's not a problem in Phoenix. They're a guard-oriented team with Bridges, all right, Booker, CP3 of these boys, Payne coming off the bench. I like them. But I want to say this for the record with Magic Johnson sitting right here in studio with me. I told you with Donovan Mitchell, that's D-Wade 2.0. He's special. Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
I'm saying it on national television. Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
It is official. His first playoff appearance. And the brother's a number 1 option, averaging over 28, dropped 40 in a triple-double in the first game of the conference finals. And just the way he plays, he's an assassin. And guess what? This Clippers team, you need Kawhi back to knock that kid off.
What did I say before the series started? Devin Booker is a mini Mamba. He's the closest thing offensively to Kobe's game in the sense that he can kill you from anywhere.
Yeah.
Kobe was his mentor as well.
Yeah, he's a mini Mamba. Here's the thing, and I hate this question. I hate it because it's a hard question to answer. Who needs their star more? I'm actually going to say Phoenix needs Chris Paul more, and I'll tell you why. Chris Paul, like James Harden was playing the best basketball of his career. Chris Paul in the last series, the best he's ever played, and that is saying something in that career. That was perfect. I always ask Stephen A. because of his relationship with Larry Brown. Like, Chris Paul must be Larry Brown's. Like, that's how perfect. That's exactly how you play it.
Right.
And that was the perfect point guard playing perfectly, right? Now, here's why they need that. Devin Booker gave you a 40-point triple-double at home. You won by the skin of your teeth. By the skin of your teeth. And if you think man can't play that way, man can play. He can play. Paul George can play. Rondo can play. They have a team full of guys who can play. They were on the road without Kawhi, and that late shot by Batum in the fourth quarter, I forgot how much time was left, that looked good out of his hands, may have changed that. Maybe they wind up winning that game. He's off a little bit. That Clippers team is live without Kawhi. I think the Suns need. I think the Suns need Chris Paul back.
If you were, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Max, there's no maybes, baby, in the playoffs. You either win or you lose.
Right.
That's all.
By the way,
that's it. So Chris Paul can miss a game because of pain, because he can run the show and Devin can score. Bridges is playing, man, off the charts right now. They got a lot of guys that can get you 10 points, 12 points, so on and on. The Clippers, if they're going to beat the Phoenix Suns, need Kawhi. Kawhi was playing some of his best basketball, too. See, we didn't give him love because he's been dominant during this playoffs. So I think the Clippers really need him. And you got to go on the road and beat them.
You're going to have to take one on the road at least.
You got to take one on the road. So that's why I say Kawhi. And you're right about CP3. He's playing the best he's ever played. But we know he's coming back.
That's right.
See, we know he's coming back. We don't know if Kawhi is coming back.
I don't want to make, I know we got to go. I don't want to make my brother Magic sick at all. But as an aside, I don't even want to make you sick. And I actually like making you sick sometimes. But I got to tell you this. I actually heard that Brooklyn, PJ Tucker's camp, was telling folks he thought he was going to end up in Brooklyn.
Yeah. That's the guy.
He thought he was going to end up in Brooklyn. And for some reason, it didn't happen.
Wow.
If you Brooklyn,
wow.
How do you not grab PJ Tucker?
I'm telling you.
How do you let that man?
I love PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Michael Cooper, who I used to play with.
Great in the locker room, great with the press, great with and does the dirty work.
Hard out here, fellas. Let me get this break in. Kevin Durant, otherworldly.
Oh, yeah. The man, the magic man is in the house. So guess what I came up with? I usually reserve Steven's A-list for the end of the show. But I wanted this near the beginning, Magic, because the Brooklyn Nets are home. They are done. Just like the Knicks, but I won't rub it in too much because I was rooting for Brooklyn. Knicks first, New York always with me. But here's the bottom line. There's 5 reasons, Magic Johnson. This is dedicated to you. 5 reasons why the Brooklyn Nets are home right now. Let's go to number 5 on the list. Give it to me right now. Giannis showed up. Averaged 32 and 13. Wasn't scared of the moment. It's game 7 in Brooklyn on the road after he did his thing in game 6. What does he do against KD? With KD putting on an absolute show. Giannis dropped 40. Okay, he didn't disappear. He didn't shrink in the moment. We got to give the Greek freak love where love is due. Let's go to number 4 on the list, please. Give it to me right now. Kyrie Irving's injury. We all know that if Kyrie Irving, that showstopper, Mr. Box Office, the nastiest handle in the game, one of the most skilled, Max Kellerman says arguably the most skilled players you ever seen. If this dude doesn't twist his ankle, excuse me, the Milwaukee Bucks are not in the conference finals. It's the Brooklyn Nets that's here if Kyrie Irving had stayed healthy. But it didn't happen. Give me number 3 on the list, please. Joe Harris. Don't get me started with this brother right here. I mean, you're supposed to be a shooter. You are supposed to be a shooter, especially when you're open. That's the key. With Kevin Durant putting on a show. James Harden with the hamstring, still playing 46 minutes one game, 39 the other. Shows up for game 7. You got open shots, Joe Harris, and all of a sudden, you can't hit the damn river. It's right out here. You couldn't even shoot the ball into the river. That's a problem, Joe Harris. Look in the mirror this offseason. You had the jumper all year long until it counted. And then we couldn't find you as an APB out for you. Think about that. Let's go to number 2 on the list, please. Give it to me, Steve Nash. Excuse me, Steve Nash. Ever heard of a timeout to give Kevin Durant a break? Because you know how exhausted he is. He played 48 minutes for you in game 5. He showed up in game 6, was in the midst of playing all 53 minutes in game 7. Think you could have called the timeout to give him a breather, a break, so he wouldn't shoot an air ball on that last shot after being completely spent? I won't get into some of your other substitutions. I won't get into some of the other things that you didn't do. But that was a flagrant error on your part, Steve Nash. You made a slew of them, and coaching clearly was an issue. But it doesn't eclipse number 1. Give it to me right here. Karma.
Oh.
Why?
Wow.
Get out of here. Oh. Listen to this, Max. Stay with me. James Harden, love him, but wanted out of Houston. Came into camp out of shape. Came into the season out of shape. You think that didn't have something to do with the hamstring injury you ultimately incurred? Absolutely. I brought up coaching at number 2, right? Remember, Kyrie Irving is quoted as saying at the beginning of the season, we don't really need coaching. Guess what? Kyrie, you were thinking about you. What about the other players that we're going to need to produce? Better coaching might have had those other dudes ready to help Kevin Durant in a game 7. Then you, Kyrie Irving, you missed some games. You took a couple of weeks off. You took off whenever you wanted. That didn't send the right message to the team. Blake Griffin, you didn't show up in Detroit. You stole money from the Detroit Pistons. You didn't want to play basketball. You didn't even dunk in 2 years until you arrived at Brooklyn. Okay? This kind of stuff ultimately comes back to bite you. That's That's what happened to the Brooklyn Nets. That is why they're home right now. If they were together, if they were committed, if they put in that work constantly, day in and day out, not just as coaches, but as players, you would have been more together. Karma wouldn't have been against you, and you'd be in the Eastern Conference right now. These are my 5 reasons why the Brooklyn Nets are home watching the playoffs with the rest of us. My apologies to KD, because good God, he was sensational.
I got to give it to you. That's the list right there. I take that list all day long.
Karma's, you won me over with karma.
Yeah.
You said stay with me. I did. You won me over with karma. But let's keep it simple. Injuries is number 1. Period. Injuries decide this whole playoffs. LeBron's ankle and LeBron's wheel, whatever, and AD not playing every series. Just look what happened.
But I basically
every
included
series.
it in it. I talked about
I get it.
the injuries is part of the karma. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but Kyrie is hurt and Harden's hurt. That wasn't James Harden. That was like a shell of James Harden.
But I told you why.
Okay, Nash is right on the money. Nash, right after injuries, is Nash. It was easy to be the coach of that team when you roll the ball out and say, take us there, KD. But could you design some plays?
But
maybe
Max,
take Harden out of the game?
But Max, everything you just said is right. But they still had a chance to win Game 7.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All the things you just said, they still had a chance to win if Joe Harris